A nation smaller than New Jersey spends about 8.4% of its economy on defense. Wars drain about $31 billion in a single year, yet average income matches Britain and Germany at $54,000. This desert nation pumps seawater uphill into its only freshwater lake while achieving the highest fertility rate in the developed world at 2.85 births per woman. The contradictions don't end there. A country under constant missile threat maintains safer streets than most Western capitals. Inside this paradox lies a hidden architecture of survival, systems that bend geography, economics, and human nature itself. Welcome to Israel. The land measures 22,000 square kilometers, smaller than New Jersey. Its population of just over 10 million rivals Jordan's 11 million, yet it remains dwarfed by regional giants like Egypt's 112 million and Turkey's 85 million. From the northern peak to the southern tip, the drive takes less than 6 hours, a journey that compresses more climate zones than continents twice its size. The highest point is Mount Hermon at 2,200 meters. The lowest is the Dead Sea at -430 meters, the lowest exposed point on Earth. This 4,000-meter elevation swing creates a vertical laboratory where alpine snow and desert dunes coexist within a single morning's drive. Jerusalem stands only 70 kilometers from the coastal tech hub, closer than many suburban commutes, yet bridging worlds of ancient stone and glass towers. Geography here doesn't just compress space, it compresses time, creating a land where biblical archaeology meets quantum computing labs. This geographic compression mirrors a historical one. Roots stretch from biblical narratives through 2 millennia of diaspora, then the rapid rise of modern Zionism, culminating in statehood in 1948. Wars with neighbors shaped every border, turning conflict into the rhythm of national survival. The pattern continues. The 2006 war with Hezbollah, the Arab Spring's ripple effects in 2011, and the October 7th Hamas attack of 2023, which triggered the largest military mobilization in national history. Over 300,000 reservists were mobilized within days, with some estimates reaching 360,000. That equals 3% of the entire population. By contrast, the United States called up just 0.1% during the Gulf War, and even at the height of Vietnam, never exceeded 2%. This reveals the Reservist Economy, a hidden system where a software engineer debugging code on Monday may be operating radar systems by Wednesday, then returning to their startup by Friday. It is a human grid that can flip between civilian innovation and military defense faster than any nation on Earth. This demographic flexibility stems from deeper social architecture. 74% are Jewish, 21% are Arab, with smaller shares including Druze and Bedouin communities. Yet these numbers mask complex internal tensions. Not all groups share equal military burdens or economic benefits, creating ongoing debates about social equity. The median age of 31 stands far younger than the OECD average of 42. Fertility reaches 2.85 births per woman, the highest in the developed world. Jordan records about 2.7, Egypt about 2.8, while the OECD average sits at just 1.5. This demographic engine expands population, while much of Europe and East Asia face aging crises, creating economic advantages but also infrastructure pressures. Compulsory conscription remains central to social cohesion. Men serve 32 months, women 24. Critics argue this perpetuates inequality, as certain religious and ethnic groups receive exemptions. Supporters counter that it creates social networks and technical skills that later power the startup ecosystem. The paradox crystallizes in voting patterns. Turnout averages 71%, above the OECD average of 67%, suggesting civic engagement survives constant political fragmentation and coalition governments. This social complexity translates into economic contradictions that define daily life. Average income reached about $54,000 in 2024, placing Israel among developed nations. Jordan's average stands at just $4,600, Egypt's at $4,500, while the global average remains about $15,000. Growth slowed to 1% in 2024 due to war disruptions, but is projected to rebound to 3 to 4% in 2025 as tourism and investment recover. High-tech forms 20% of total output and over half of exports, creating an economy heavily dependent on global demand and skilled labor. Defense spending reveals the cost of survival, about 8.4% of GDP in 2024, with outlays jumping 65% to about $46 billion. The fiscal deficit widened to about 6.8% of GDP. Yet debt remains below 70% of GDP, better than the OECD average of nearly 90% and far below the US level of 120%. This macro resilience meets micro pressures in daily expenses. Rent for a one-bedroom apartment in central Tel Aviv averages about $2,100 monthly. A monthly transit pass costs around $85 to $90 under the 2025 fare reform. Utilities average about 15 to 19 cents per kilowatt hour. Even basics carry premium prices. Coffee costs $3 to $4, a quick meal runs $14 to $19, making Tel Aviv comparable to London or New York in living costs. The result is a nation where software engineers earn Silicon Valley salaries while paying Manhattan rents, creating prosperity that feels like financial pressure. Perhaps no paradox runs deeper than safety itself. Israel's homicide rate stood at about 3 per 100,000 people in 2023, higher than before, but still lower than the global average of 5.8 and close to the United States' 5.0. Jordan records 1.6, Egypt 0.9. Despite constant security threats, street crime remains lower than in many Western capitals. This safety comes with trade-offs. Security checks are routine. Bag searches at malls and cafes are normal. Some see this as necessary vigilance, others as normalized militarization of daily life. Law carries unusual characteristics. Draft evasion can bring prison sentences, yet religious exemptions create ongoing political tensions. Pork imports face restrictions in many areas. Public transportation and most businesses halt from Friday evening to Saturday night for Sabbath observance, affecting even secular neighborhoods. The Iron Dome system creates another layer of paradox. Missile interception rates reach about 85 to 90% during heavy barrages. Few nations field such layered defense. Iron Dome for short range, David Sling for medium range, Arrow for long range. Citizens receive smartphone alerts for incoming rockets, then return to coffee shops minutes after the all-clear, normalizing what would be extraordinary anywhere else. This complex security landscape affects how the world engages with Israel. Tourism peaked at 4.55 million arrivals in 2019, but fell sharply by 2024 due to regional instability. Passenger traffic through Ben Gurion Airport dropped to about 13.9 million, though recovery shows traffic rising again by mid-2025. Jordan handled 5.6 million visitors, Egypt 11.7 million in the same period. Since January 2025, the ETA-IL electronic travel permit became mandatory for most visa-exempt visitors, costing about $7 and valid for 2 years, adding bureaucracy but streamlining entry. Student and work visas remain highly selective, and citizenship paths are limited. Only the law of return guarantees immediate rights to Jews worldwide, a policy that grants privileges based on ethnicity while restricting others, creating ongoing debates about democratic inclusivity. Yet Israeli citizens enjoy significant global mobility, visa-free or visa-on-arrival access to about 170 countries, ranking in the global top 20, higher than many larger, more politically neutral nations. The political-economic split manifests geographically. Jerusalem serves as the political and religious center, while Tel Aviv functions as the commercial and technological hub, two cities embodying Israel's dual nature of ancient roots and modern ambitions. The paradoxes converge into a single pattern: systems that shouldn't work, but do. A small land wields global influence through technological innovation. A country under constant military threat maintains longer life expectancy than the United States at about 83 years. High living costs coexist with strong wages. Tight borders paradoxically create passport holders with wide global access. The environmental paradox may be most striking. This desert nation recycles about 87% of its wastewater, while water-rich Spain manages only about 20%. Innovation, born from scarcity, becomes exportable abundance. The hidden architecture now stands revealed. The used-to-use water loop transforms waste into agricultural wealth. The national grid reversal defies gravity by pumping seawater uphill to preserve freshwater. The reservist economy converts civilians into soldiers and back to innovators within days. The layered shield stack turns defensive necessity into aerospace expertise. Yet contradictions remain unresolved. Social inequalities persist within this prosperity. Military necessities sometimes conflict with democratic ideals. Success metrics depend heavily on perspective and which communities' experiences are centered. This creates a state simultaneously fragile and resilient, small yet globally significant, under siege yet expanding outward through technology and influence. Whether this model represents sustainable innovation or unsustainable tension remains the ultimate paradox, one that affects far beyond its borders. Like, share, and subscribe for more paradox-driven journeys into the systems that shape our world.